What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So if you guys are tuning in for the first time on this channel, we talk about prison, crime, jail, and everything in between. I like to bring guests on this channel that have been to prison and have changed their life and are doing something better in their life today. And this guest is a perfect example of that. Man, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people watching at home? What's your name and where you're from?
My name is JC. Pretty much from Chicago. I was born and raised in Chicago, but ended up moving to Phoenix after the craziness kind of came to a little slow stop of my life, pretty much.
So what kind of craziness was that you're talking about?
I mean, we're talking about state prison, Mexican prison, federal prison. I mean, I've been all over the U.S., man, on Con Air, you know, from Oklahoma to Florida to, I've been all over the place, and it was crazy because for a long time, I felt comfortable in that environment, in that situation, and I was just telling my wife the other day that for a long time, I mean, you know what it is to be shipped. You're cuffed from your hands, your legs, the box, your hips, so you're pretty much moved around like an animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like cattle. And being on that plane, being on those buses that are like 18-hour fucking drives, man. And it was crazy because I came to a time in my life where I said that this is enough. I'm done. I'm done. This is it.
Yeah, it's crazy when you say like you get comfortable. I talk about that on my channel. Like, you know, the first time you go to jail, you're like, man, this shit sucks. I'm not coming back. And then your 10th time going in, like you develop a way to get comfortable with it. And it's almost sick to say that, but that's literally like what happens. All I heard out of that was Mexico prison, because you always hear crazy shit going on in Mexico as far as like the cartel and then prison. What prison did you end up in Mexico, man?
I was in El Cerezo, in San Luis Potosí, Saltillo, Monterrey, and Juarez. I was in four prisons over there in Mexico. And I went to go visit, when I got out, another prison that's an island in Mexico where they send a lot of like the heavier drug dealers, you know what I mean? Like the richer ones or the ones that have I guess you could say money to move out that way, but now it's closed. It's a museum, but that's what they used to do. They used to send all the guys there because you could go do time with your family there. So it was that's a whole different video.
Yeah, it sounds like it, man. Well, so when did you first catch like some charges where you actually got sentenced to prison for a good amount of time?
I tell people, man, like as a kid, I had a lot of overnights as a kid, and I still count them because I remember, I don't know if you remember your first overnight.
Yeah.
It's almost like you go through this moment where you start to like hyperventilate and you start to like panic because you're enclosed in that cell, and you want to leave but you can't, and you start to experience a moment where it's almost like you rather die than be there. I don't know if anybody could feel what I'm trying to say, but from those, it started to get, every Saturday where I would have an overnight, because they have these units in Chicago that are neighborhood units. So if the crime is just like spray painting or mob action, or they used to do like this big gang stuff where if you were with more than 3 people, they would arrest you and you would stay there overnight. So it started getting easier, bro. I'm not gonna lie, and that's how everything started. And then I went away for 6 months. Then I went away for a year, and 2 years. And then I just started graduating to bigger ones and bigger ones. And then, I ended up doing 8 altogether when I got caught in Mexico. I was 17 when I got caught in Mexico. I was 17, went to the adult prison there. And I mean, I was there for 5 minutes. I had already got stabbed for my shoes. It was a rough place, bro. It's a rough place. But if I wouldn't have been young, I wouldn't have been able to survive. Like if you were to tell me right now, person I am right now, to get sent back to that prison, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. No, I wouldn't.
What makes you say that?
because that JC, that 17-year-old was disconnected with himself in every form you could possibly think of, and emotion. I mean, everything. Where, if I had to do dirt, I would do it
Yeah.
without thinking about it twice. Not to say that I wouldn't do something now if my family was being hurt or anything. Yes, I would. But what I'm saying is that I think about stuff more now, and I know what happy, sad is now, because back then I was just mad and madder, I guess you want to say, because just of all the trauma I experienced as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel what you're saying, man. When did you finally land in a United States prison?
I got in the American exchange program, and it took them 4 years to transfer me to United States. And then once they transferred me over to federal prison in I want to say mid '90s, um, I got to La Tuna Federal Prison in El Paso, Texas, and this is back in the day, bro, when the feds were like, you see nothing but like high end gangsters. You didn't see like gangs in the feds. You didn't see like smaller organizations like the Bloods, like you didn't really see that. You seen like big shot callers, like from the crib, like the leaders, like
Yeah.
not soldiers. So it was a different time in the feds when I got there. I was a young kid. I have a picture. I look like a kid. It's crazy. But
So how long did you do on that bid when you were in Texas?
it was 8 altogether. 8 altogether, because when I got released from the federal prison in El Paso, Texas, the U.S. Marshals, Texas Rangers picked me up from El Paso and took me to the El Paso County Jail. And then I sat there for some time for extradition to Chicago, because I was wanted on a shooting case. So then I got out from there, went to Chicago, turned myself in. There, I got sentenced to a gang program in Chicago that if you have up to an 8-year sentence and you complete the program in 6 months, you get to come home. So I got sent to that program, and I ended up coming home.
Obviously, for you to go to that program, I'm taking it you were affiliated, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I've been affiliated my whole life.
All right. And I don't know if you want to or not, but what organization were you affiliated with?
At the current time when I retired, I was a Latin King.
Okay.
But I first started as an enemy of the Latin Kings. I started actually a Saint Disciple.
Okay.
I got a crazy ass story, man.
I'm telling you, bro. How did that go down, man? What made you switch organizations? Like halfway through or something? Like how did you?
Yeah, you could say that, halfway through into my, into my 30s, pretty much. Halfway through my life. I made a lot of connections when I was in prison in Mexico, bro, and in the feds. And when I came home, I started making a lot of big moves that made a lot of people jealous on the streets, especially in my neighborhood, where most of my life I was the muscle. I was the gunner. I was like the send off man, the torpedo, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I was the one that took care of business, while everybody else, drove around in their nice cars and everything. So I started making money. So a lot of people didn't like that, and I started making a lot of enemies to the point where my own try to kill me. They try to set me up with a dirty gun. I mean, it was crazy.
So when you were living that life, man, when you were getting sent on missions and shit, what was like one of the craziest things like when you think back, that you went through in that time in your life, where you're just like, damn, I don't know how I got out of that.
Every day, shit. you know, I did a little series on my channel where I had police contact, and I started writing them down, and my list started getting longer and longer and longer and longer. And I was like, holy shit, like how much police contact have I had? And it's crazy because, as criminals, we try to avoid it, but I think we get it more.
Oh yeah, for sure, bro. I know you said when you were in the feds, there wasn't a lot of like smaller organizations. Were the Latin Kings deep where you were at that time?
Well, when I first went in, there wasn't a lot of gangs. When I went in, when I was older, into my 30s, yeah, the feds were flooded with gangs, Bloods, Kings. I mean, you name it. Every yard that I went to in the feds, there was Latin Kings there. You know what I mean? There was one time I went to a yard in California and there wasn't no Latin Kings there. You know, so but they're all over the yards everywhere. In Florida, where I went, there was like 63.
All right. Where'd you go in Florida? That's where I'm at.
Mariana,
Mariana?
Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
So I met a lot of people from like Pensacola, Miami. There was a lot of Kings from Miami there because the RDAP program is there. So I went to go do the drug program.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That's at Coleman too. RDAP for it's like a drug resident program, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Back then they were pretty much almost giving you 3 years off your sentence.
Well, damn, I would have went to RDAP too.
Everybody was in line. Everybody was like, so pretty much in order to get into RDAP, you would have to be able to prove that you were a drug addict. And that's how they give it to you. And they can't be no violence in your case. There was a time where they were even giving 4 years out for the time off because you would live there for 9 months, you would complete it, they would give you 2 years off your sentence, and then you could get up to 2 years halfway house. You just stay at the halfway house and go work. So everybody was in line to try and get that shit, but it was so packed that people were like not making it on time to take the class, to do the program.
Yeah, man. Were drugs a part of your story?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I've been a pretty active user since I was a kid, and it caused a lot of bad decisions in my part to be, addicted to a lot of stuff. I've had really bad episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's the same with me, man. Like I started out, in the streets selling, and then, I was in a car accident and got, on pain pills, and I mean, how that goes, bro. Them things sink their claws into you. When was it in your life that like you really looked in the mirror and you were like, man, like, I got a problem with this and I need to change it?
Bro, my whole life, I knew that I wasn't. My whole life, I was pretending to be somebody that I wasn't, and I kind of knew it deep down inside because, I was that guy that would we would go do something and then I would feel bad about it later. I had a conscience. It wasn't big. It wasn't a big one, but it was there and I could feel it. So I used to feel bad about certain things. So, and then I would, hit my periods where I would go on these months and I would use drugs really heavily. But then I would be like, fuck that. I want to go to rehab, and I would clean myself up. I've been to rehab a bunch of times, you know what I mean? And clean myself up. But then I'm not gonna lie, like I would miss the chaos because it's all I knew. So I would miss it, and I would do it even on the weekends if I could. I would play cat and mouse game. That's why I got violated the last time I was out, because my PO was like, "That's it, you're done." Because I was playing cat and mouse with him, and I pitched dirty a bunch of times.
Yeah, so that's exactly how it was for me, man. Like, it's almost like I became addicted to the chaos, that like constant living in turmoil, not knowing what's going to happen, tomorrow. It was always like in today is where I was at. Well, I know you said before when you were talking that you have a YouTube channel. What exactly do you do on your YouTube channel, and how can people find you?
Well, my YouTube channel, pretty much all you have to do is type in "wrong too strong" and all my stuff comes up.
Okay.
I've done pretty good on capitalizing on the name, pretty much, so it shows up. But my channel's about my life, man. Me, like, I started working for the cartel at 16. I was in gangs by the time I was like 10, and I just grew up in the life with very, you could say, traumatic childhood, a lot of trauma from a kid, sexual beatings, all that stuff. And pretty much to get to where I'm at now has taken a lot of work, a lot of honesty, a lot of just being completely transparent. And that's what I do in my videos. I share my stories because I'm not tough, man. I'm not tough. I don't want to be tougher than nobody. That whole life made me tired, and I never want to pretend to be anything but just myself. And that's what I talk about on my videos, man. And I make it funny, you know, because that's the only way I survived my whole life, was laughing at myself. And now I get to help people maybe look at the other side of the coin, that the whole life is not worth it, you know?
Yeah, no, man, I agree totally with what you just said, bro. Like, you know, you gotta kind of laugh at yourself sometimes, because when you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, you know, it's like, man, if that depression that comes along with that could really, you know, sink you down into a hole. And, you know, sometimes people aren't able to climb out of that. So now on your YouTube channel, I know we were talking before and you said that, you know, you're trying to help guys that are still incarcerated, and that seems to be a passion that you have. What exactly are you trying to do with that?
Right now, I'm building I just got off of federal probation about a month ago. It's the first time I've completed my paper since I've been like 16. You know what I mean? So it was something really, really big for me. You know?
Oh yeah, that's huge, bro. Congrats.
Thank you, bro. And so from there, my whole plan was to start building my business plan for. So this is what I want to do. It might sound a little crazy, okay, but I'm a dreamer, so you got to dream with me to be able to see.
Visions without action is a dream, bro.
So you know how the X-Men live in this big mansion, right?
Yeah.
And everybody has their own room, and they're in training and everything while they're there. So I want to launch a project in all the major cities where we have a lot of gang activity, and launch a program where I have a house, just like the X-Men. I want to call it Project X, where I work with 20 to 25 kids between the ages of 13 to 16 that are highly involved in gangs or selling drugs, stuff like that, to be able to work with them for at least 2 years to get them ready pretty much for other decisions in life, like college, leaving the city, going to study somewhere else, stuff like that. You know, but that's my dream. That's like what I'm working on right now.
Oh yeah, bro. That's what's up, man. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Because a lot of people, I mean, I'm sure you know a lot of people that have been to prison, they get out and they kind of just go on with their life and forget about that they were ever there. And there's a lot of guys in there right now that, you know, even they don't even have to be in prison. There's a lot of kids that are growing up in a dysfunctional family, and they turn to the gang life for that acceptance and that support. And for you to, you know, go back and help, you know, there's a saying like, you go back in the fire and help people, you know, drag people out of the fire. And it seems like, you know, that's what you're doing. And I totally respect that. And I actually just completed probation like 6 months ago. First time I've ever done it too, man. So I know that feeling, man. We finally won one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really would like to have you back on the channel, man, to talk more and go in depth as far as, like, you know, I heard you say you were working for the cartel, and I've always been curious about it. I've watched tons of like documentaries on Netflix, and I know that's really not how it is. I mean, it's something like that, but I'm sure you have a lot more, you know, that you could tell. So if you're down with that, bro, I'd really like to have you back on.
All right, cool.
All right, man. Well, listen, I just want to thank you for coming on the channel, bro. And props to you for turning your life around and doing the right thing, man. And, you know, that's something to be proud of. Hence, Wrong to Strong. Perfect name, bro. Yeah, and if you guys haven't, go check out his YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, and give this video a thumbs up. And with that, it's DOC TV, and we're out.